Gary Steyngart, the author of Super Sad True Love Story. Gary, how long did the book take you to write?
I started writing it in 2006, and the idea I had then was the collapse of the hedge funds and the banks and the decline of the auto industry in America. By 2008, all those things had sort of happened, so instead of presenting the book to my editor, I had to go back to the drawing board and make things much, much worse, to the point where the whole country's taken over by a Norwegian hedge fund, and the Chinese, of course. So it was one of those things where, again, keeping up with reality was very difficult. I thought that in my original version I was being too tough on the economy, but by the time 2 years after I started, I had to get back and make things a complete disaster.
So the book took several years of intense intellectual effort, right?
Yes, several years.
What do you make of some digital radicals who argue that all creativity is a remix and that supposedly creative people like you should share your work for no money with the public?
Well, let's look at it this way. I mean, in a very simple dollars and cents kind of way. I mean, it takes 3 years to produce a book like this. It takes another year to simply to market it. You know, I've been going all over the world. It's translated in about 20 languages, so I have to go all over the world and present the book in many countries.
Do you take Felix, by the way?
Oh, I wish. In many of the better countries, he has to have a microchip installed, and I just can't do that to the poor beast, you know. But I miss him so much. Oh, what a sweetheart. But in other words, it takes 4 years of hard work to produce a book like this. And if I'm not getting paid for it, if the content is free, well, I'm working at a gas station or a car dealership or whatever it is. I'm just trying to survive, you know. Being paid for this work, and hopefully it's worth it to some readers, actually allows me to produce more work instead of saying, okay, well, I'm just gonna try to survive in this economy, you know, by hook or by crook. Now, many other writers, of course, throughout the course of history have survived, worked full-time jobs, and have found the time to write. But why cut my output in half? Why limit myself if somebody is actually willing, somebody's actually crazy enough to spend $15 on one of my books?
Are you familiar with the philosophical work of the science fiction writer Cory Doctorow on free content? What do you think of that?
Well, I've been on the stage with Cory before. I mean, I think, you know, it depends on what you're dealing with. You know, some content I think should be free. You know, if pet grooming manuals on long-haired dachshunds I think should be free. I mean, there's no reason why we can't share this knowledge with the rest of the world. And there's a part of us that should be as democratic as possible and trying to help as many people as possible. But also, you know, I've never stolen music off the internet. I try to shop at local stores when I buy books or produce for that matter. I want the money to go to a person who's actually worked hard to create something. And I think those people appreciate it, and I think they produce something better because of that. You know, when I buy beets at my local farmer's market, there's going to be better beets down the line. You know, there's going to be a wider range of wonderful vegetables down the line. And I think what's true for beets is true for novels as well.
A couple of weeks ago, I had Suzanne Vega, the singer-songwriter, on the show, and she was deeply upset by the decimation of the music industry by piracy. Do you fear that the book industry may go the same way? I know that some of the guilds, the Authors Guild, for example, are very concerned with what's going on.
You know, I think that if book piracy was a major issue in this country, it would at least signify that people actually want to read books. They want to read books enough to steal them. I think so far book piracy hasn't been an issue the way music piracy is, because many of the people who read books, well, because first of all, the audience is so small. I mean,
well, your books aren't that. I mean, not that your books are small, but your audience isn't small. I don't know the exact number, but my guess is that this book has sold several 100,000 copies.
Yes, but I think my audience, when I see them, they're really nice, kind of adorable people. You know, when I go on book tour, they're a kind of a small range of people who still read books. I'm not saying that the audience necessarily is under 500 people. But I'm saying they're not the kind of people that would, I think, steal things. Now, the Kindle creates a different opportunity because the book is not just a book, an object. It's now a Word file that can be downloaded. Will that create an incentive for people to steal books? I don't know. What's interesting to me, for example, is that certain countries where literacy is kind of on the upswing, like India or many Asian countries, their book piracy is a real factor in terms of publishers being very worried about it. I was both disheartened and kind of flattered when my friend was walking in Saigon in Vietnam and saw the Vietnamese version of my book lying on by the street being sold for, I don't know, whatever amount of dong, the Vietnamese currency. And although I felt bad because obviously I'm never going to see any of that profits, I thought, wow, the Vietnamese care enough about my book to actually steal it.